Hi, and welcome back to today's video. We're going to be talking about why hard work is something that people pray at the altar of. So, without any further ado, this is a clip from 13 Life-Changing Lessons That No One's Ever Told You by George Mack on the Chris Williamson YouTube channel, which is the Modern Wisdom Podcast. That's a mouthful. Let's get to the video.
We also had this discussion in Miami about why hard work is something that people often pray at the altar of. And I'm one of these people, right? You know, Hormozy being on the show, Goggins, Jocko, etc. I don't disagree. Hard work is a very reliable route to achieving success. But I think that optimizing exclusively for hard work causes you to miss an awful lot of the higher leverage routes and also maybe some of the more personalized ones too. There's very few problems in life that aren't made easier by working harder. But there are other higher leverage, higher return, less painful routes to achieving the same outcome. Those are less reliable, though, right? Like hard work will almost always get you closer to your goal. Working harder will almost always get you closer to your goal incrementally. Therefore, it's like a moderately effective but highly robust drug that I could give you to deal with some malady that you're dealing with. And then here's 5 other options, 4 of which won't work at all, but one of which will work 10 times better than you just doing the hard work thing. And maybe hard work sits sort of alongside it. You kind of loop them in as a combination. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why praying at the altar of hard work is something that's so it's so pedestalized, because when has anybody ever worked harder and it hasn't helped at least a little bit? So it's the panacea, but it's actually only working at sort of a ceiling capped sort of rate. And there's way more effective versions that you could look at alongside that or outside of that, that isn't just, okay, just get up earlier, go to bed later, spend more time in front of the screen.
I'm going to pause it there for now. There's still more of the clip to show you, so stay tuned for that. But I want to show you the notes I have taken on this so far. So, as you can see, we kind of have the different options: hard work, option 1, 2, 3, and so on. And hard work is this white one right here that's a little bit in the background, but this is where you are. And if you just work hard, you're going to go through this tangled mess of all the white and come out and there's success. And then there's all these other options on the side, and some of them, they don't really output to success. They kind of output wherever, and then you might have to start a new path over again. And there's option 3, this little golden one right here, that just goes straight there, right to success. And one of the things I wanted to show with this, and why they don't all have the same starting point, is because you have to find these options. Like, you don't necessarily know that living your life this way or doing things this way exists. So it actually takes time for you to go and find out how to do it in a different way or a different approach. And I talk about that down below in some of the benefits of doing this. So you need to find the other paths before you can start moving. So hard work is easy because you can kind of, like, you're already there. You don't really need to do much in order to work hard. But it's going to take a lot of ups and downs because you still have to understand how everything else works. So you learn the most when you try the other paths. So simply optimizing for hard work is kind of like what we talked about earlier. It's the Nadal approach, the David Goggins approach that leads to the most amount of injuries, the most amount of burnout, and there's other ways of doing it. There's being a focused, emotionless robot, or there's the federal approach, which is laughing and having trick shots and like having fun with it. So there's different ways to accomplish the same goals, but it kind of depends on what you want to do. And then if you don't know why it worked, you might be a one-hit wonder and fall as fast as you grew. And this is one of the keys. Like, if you happen to catch this yellow path of what we consider success and what you're trying to do, you might not know necessarily why you were successful, because you didn't take some of these other paths, form hypotheses, and then work based off of those new hypotheses, see how they affect you, if you actually improved, if the hypothesis is right, if it's wrong. You don't have a lot of the principles, a lot of the other knowledge out there about all the stuff that doesn't work and why it doesn't work. You kind of got lucky and you tried something and it worked and just really well for you. And that's amazing when it happens, but it's not necessarily the most stable path to be on, because say you launch one product, it does amazing, sells well, and then you try to launch a second product and it just flops. Well, what was that? Was that you weren't connecting to your audience? Were you not like connecting? Were your ads not good? Like there's so many possible things that it could be, but you just don't know which ones are important because the first time you did it, you managed to nail it correctly. So you're going to try to keep copying that first one. And as we see in music, not a lot of people can keep those one hit wonders or keep the fame from their initial one hit wonder. Then this is an amazing loop I did right here. And it's basically think, try, reflect, adjust. Think, try, reflect, adjust. So it's, and then in the middle I wrote persist. And it's kind of what you have to do. When you try these different paths up here, you need to constantly be thinking of what is the best, what do you think, according to the models you have in your head for how you think advertising or how you think whatever you're trying to do works, what is the best approach, and then you try that approach, and then you reflect on how well that approach worked, and then you adjust how that approach works, or you tweak it a little bit. And I mean, I guess these two, this adjust and think, are kind of the same, but you still need, I mean, it's not bad thinking even more before you try it again. And you just keep in this cycle and you persist, and eventually you'll succeed. And then down here, we have some quotes that I just love. So, why is hard work something that we all why is hard work something that people pray at the altar of? So, hard work is a very reliable route to success. Optimizing exclusively for hard work causes you to miss an awful lot of higher leverage and more personal routes. Yes, it does. It's like the image we had earlier where you have like two guys and they're trying to move a bunch of stones, and this third guy's off on the side. It's like, hey guys, you want some help? And he's holding like a cart with wheels on it to help move the stones. And like, nah, we're too busy. So like, if you're so focused on the work itself, you lose track of faster and easier ways of doing it. Then there are a few problems in life that aren't made easier by working harder, but there are other higher leverage, higher return, less painful routes to achieving the same outcome. What is the most important thing that you can be doing today? 20 minutes in the morning, think about that, and then do that. So, what's the highest leverage, highest return thing that you could do today in order to improve your life? Health. What are the three areas? We have them written down up here somewhere. Oh god, there's a lot of notes. I think they were health, life, and work. Give me a second. Right there. Health, life, and work. So you kind of just focus. Yeah, if you don't have 20 minutes each day to think about what the most important thing, what the most important thing, you probably need an hour. Oh, to think about the most important thing, you probably need an hour. All right, yeah. So back down to the notes. Then we have working hard almost, scroll this up a little so you can see it. Working hard almost always gets you closer to achieving your goal incrementally. Therefore, it's like a moderately effective but highly robust drug that I could give you to deal with some melody that you're dealing with. That's what I said earlier about, where is it? We did talk about this. Oh, here we go. Higher up in the notes. When you work, screen's moving all over the place. When you work because doing something makes you feel like you're moving forward in life, and you're only looking at the inputs but not at what gets done. After a while, you start getting stressed out because you always feel behind because nothing is actually getting done. And that's kind of what hard work can do for you if you get lost in it. Is like it gives you that feeling of moving forward, of your life is better today than it was yesterday. You're doing something, like you're changing the world to how you think it should be. And it's just like it's a very addicting drug to take a hold of yourself. Like there's many people out there who go running and they'll run until they're just too injured to run, and they'll keep going and buying orthopedics and doing all these things and keeping on training. I mean, this finger right here will never touch. I completely ripped what's in between there. I mean, comes off decent on the video, but like I just kept training and working harder instead of resting when I should have. So now I'll never have like my hands are just messed up. And that's an old wrestling injury. So this is the things you have to be paying attention to. And we're gonna head back to the video because there's also more we are gonna talk about. So let's head over there. My mouse is all over the place. There we go. Now.
What's an example for yourself that's more productive or impactful than hard work, or things that you often neglect because you're too busy working hard that often is a bigger lever?
Reading. So I asked myself this question during my end of your review. I think I asked you this as well. What are the things I think are productive but aren't?
Yes.
And what are the things that are productive but I don't realize are? And that's just such a phenomenal question, because you're starting to see, where am I investing into hard work, kind of reliable but could be not so useful, and where am I not seeing the penny stocks that have got a 1000x potential upside? So for me, sitting in front of the computer when I'm not working or when I'm low on energy makes me feel like I'm working. It makes me feel like I'm busy. I actually don't really get anything done. Being on Slack, being on emails, and taking calls, for the most part, very, very low ROI, does move me incrementally closer to the goal of whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Stuff that is productive, but I don't realize it. Going for a walk without my AirPods in and without a phone. Reading, which is huge. Reading and writing probably should have been in there. Focused reading and writing, massive, massive upsides. Going for coffees with friends and going for dinner with people that come through town for a short period of time. So next week we're going to go for dinner. We're going for nut pudding with Brian Johnson and a bunch of his friends. And it's like, it's a Thursday night. It's going to be one of the last nights that you're here. Like, do we really want to spend the time with people? We're not too sure, but I can almost guarantee that I will come away from that evening with an amazing story or some cool insights or a new friend or something cool. So I just think saying yes to more novelty is a good start.
And welcome back. So one thing, he talks about socializing there. I really like that. And down in my notes, I'm kind of hiding it right here with myself, but I just put coffee with friends and socializing, and then next to it, it's kind of blanked out, but it says networking. I mean, if you're so focused on being productive, think about socializing as networking. And then it becomes something where you're like, oh, I'm socializing and I'm working. Yay! Anyways, more productive and higher leverage examples. What are things that I think are productive but aren't? So sitting in front of the computer when I'm not working, being on Slack emails and taking calls. I mean, I haven't checked my email in ages. Like I give it a glance every now and then to see if anything like major is up there, but it's shocking how little has actually changed in terms of email. And if something's really important, most people just call you. So I'm someone who used to check my email like twice a day, and I haven't checked it in like the last 2 weeks, besides a cursory look of just glancing over the general subject lines and seeing if anything jumps out of importance. Multitasking, yeah, it's horrible. It decreases your focus, increases the potential for mistakes, and you pay a penalty whenever you switch between tasks, because think of your brain as like your brain has short-term and long-term memory. The short-term memory it uses for things that it's currently working on, and it's a lot faster to retrieve information from there. So when you're switching between two tasks, you're just trying to switch out the short-term memories too quickly, and you just forget things. You can't operate as well. And for anyone who's ever like done coding or gotten themselves into a flow state while working, your productivity goes up significantly. So if you just focus on one thing, get it done, and then switch over to the next thing. And then what are things that... Oh, and then I put perfectionism. Perfect is procrastination. Perfect is procrastination. Just say it like 10 times. It's better to get it done and come back to it if you have time. P.S. You never will. I really like this, and when I say perfect is procrastination, it's very true. And when I say come back to it when you have time, maybe like 1 out of 10 times you'll actually have time to come back to it. But what I would say is you can work smart so that when you do come back to it, if you do want to make changes, you can leave it so changes are easier to be made. Um, no examples. I mean, besides some woodworking projects, uh, I mean, perfect. If I wasn't finished with the woodworking project, I wouldn't shellac it or put any finish on it, so that if I wanted to come back to it and finish it later or add anything, it would be a much easier project to do. And that could be one example. I mean, just go with the plain look of it, or put a very light coating or finish on it that you could easily take off instead of going for a higher finish, and leaving the option of coming back to finish another time. And then what is productive, but I don't realize it. Going for walks without your phone, amazing. No earbuds, no podcast. You can talk to other people, but like don't have shallow conversations. Like some I heard the other day. I was at the beach. I heard these people debating Love Island versus The Bachelor versus like other TV shows. I'm like, oh my god, like seriously, it was horrible. It was real, just horrible. Reading and writing. So with reading, the key to this is put the things you read into action. Have a highlighter of things, of actionable things that your book recommends you to do, and you can highlight those and then actually go back and look at how you can put these things into action in your own life. And it takes time to do this. Like this video is 2 hours and 13 minutes long, the 13 Life Changing Lessons by George Mack on the Modern Wisdom podcast. I have spent like hours making these notes, rewatching it, clipping it, and starting to absorb this. Like you have to play with the information more. Just watching a single YouTube video once isn't really going to help you understand it. You have to put these systems into place. You have to do the examples that I tell you to do. You have to like do the work, or else you're just going to lose it as fast as you get it. And don't be like an armchair philosopher where you keep getting all these amazing bits of information. You're like, oh, that's amazing, that's amazing. You never put any of them into action. Like you have to live this stuff to actually fully understand it. Coffee with friends and socializing. I talked about that earlier. If you can't rationalize it to yourself because you're so caught up in working, just call it networking. And then go have some fun. Like you need to rest, you need to have fun. It helps with making sure your dopamine in your brain is properly regulated. I have another video on my channel talking about this. But like having fun is one of the best things you can do if you have ADHD. And like going out and playing soccer, going rock climbing, just socializing, because it helps your brain better regulate the dopamine. If you're always at home, if you're always in front of the computer, if you're always in the office, never having fun, yeah, no wonder like you're having trouble focusing. Your dopamine in the brain is all messed up, and it's actually part of being balanced. And you're not productive if you never sleep. Your brain will eventually crap out, and it's a similar thing with your productivity and having fun. Like you need to have fun. Find something that you enjoy. I mean, if you're so lost with how like to have fun, get a soccer ball and kick that around, or hell, man, buy a Lego set. I mean, I love those things. And then say yes to new things. So often in our culture, we carry this badge of honor. This, oh, I'm too busy. I can't do that, or I have to study. And I use that excuse so many times in high school and college. And everyone's like, oh my God, you have to study? You're such a good person for studying and working yourself to death and having no social life. And I'm like, I'm such a good person. No. Say yes to new things and go out there and live life. Like, there is no point that life starts, like, that you start magically living life. Like, you have to go out there and start doing it. I made videos like a month ago talking about this, and then there's like a 2 week stretch where I forgot this, and I started going rock climbing and playing soccer and doing fun things again. So, I mean, even me who, like, dedicates myself to putting this stuff into practice and has a YouTube channel based around it. Like, I even occasionally forget the lessons I talk about, which is half the reason why I have this channel, so I can go back and rewatch my own videos and I can be like, oh, well, of course that makes sense. How did I ever forget doing this? Because you will forget your good habits. Like, I occasionally forget to eat raw liver, and that might sound disgusting to some people, but it's one of the best things I can recommend people to do in terms of having their brain feel amazing due to all the nutrients that's in it. I occasionally forget to do that. I occasionally forget to stretch. I occasionally forget to meditate. Like, I have all these good habits that I've formed over the years, and sometimes life just happens and you forget to do them. So being able to go back and look at a large library of videos and be like, oh yeah, that is a better way of doing it is extremely helpful. And that's most of the reason why I do this channel. Anyways, click here for a playlist of the other videos so far, and as you can see, there's pages of notes here. Yeah. And click over here. Oh, you can't actually see. I was scrolling, but the screen is on my iPad, so sorry about that. Click here, subscribe to the channel, and click here for the playlist with all these amazing notes on it. So peace out, and hope you enjoy the video. Comment down below. I kind of switched between using the dotted background and black background for this one. So if you noticed it, congratulations, and let me know if you like that more.